All right, Nuggets fans, welcome in to Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at BETONLINE. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn, at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am so excited to talk about the Denver Nuggets win as the Nuggets defeat the OKC Thunder last night. Final score of that one, 124-122, a tremendous victory. Completely out of left field. I don't think I expected it. I don't think many people expected it when, hey, Denver's been struggling with Toronto and Brooklyn and not really Utah. They didn't struggle with Utah at all, but they hadn't looked great. Hadn't looked great for much of the first 7 games of the season. And lo and behold, they just needed the opponent to be better, right? They just needed the opponent to help raise their level a little bit. This was a tremendous game, and the Nuggets deserve a ton of credit. Nikola Jokic deserves a ton of credit for how he handled the pressure. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about Peyton Watson's block. We're going to talk about basically everybody stepping up and doing exactly what they needed to do in order to get a W. That was a tremendous, tremendous victory. Really quick, this podcast is brought to you by the good folks over at BetOnline. Make sure to be paying attention to what BetOnline's doing as the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, from the earliest odds to in-game live betting. BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL, you name it. Head on over to BetOnline today to get in on the action. Visit their website today. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, I am your host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. The chat is bumping here. Just really, really appreciate everybody for stopping by. All-timer game. Nolan says Jokic battling 3 people in the paint. Man, it was a war for Nikola Jokic. He was really trying to fight through it. Don't Tell Santa Cruz, who's always very positive, says we played better without Murray. They played better last night. That is for sure. I just don't get all the Jamal stuff while he's out. Just at least let it play out before seeing what that happens. But Cedric says huge statement win. HMYIZ Hemias, did not have Hunter Tyson being good/decent on my bingo card. Neither did I, but I did talk about it in the preseason and just in the lead up to the NBA season for Denver, where they could get some of these advantages from. Surprisingly, that was one. Surprisingly, Hunter Tyson, man, he's just like the high effort stuff from him is such a big deal. We'll come around to it on the second segment for sure, but really, really impressive stuff from him. Again, this was a tremendous victory. The Nuggets, they are one of those teams that a lot of people had a lot of questions about. And especially when you get off to that 0-2 start. And then I had people that were like, man, Denver got overtime wins against Toronto and Brooklyn, and I can't believe they're struggling against those teams. What are they doing? The sky is falling. This was always going to be it. I don't know if you've listened to this show before. If you've listened to me talk about this team before, you know that they were always going to start pretty slow. They were always going to be a team that kind of got off to that slowish start because they're working so many guys into a new rotation, a new setup, trying to figure out exactly how to approach stuff. And I loved seeing everybody write off the Nuggets immediately, because where is Denver best? It's when they're doubted. It's when they're the underdogs. It's when they are facing a great team like OKC, who obviously, like, OKC still has a whole bunch of, like, they've got their big man Jalen Williams out. Isaiah Hartenstein is out. They've got some guys that they're still missing too. But the Nuggets guys, like, when you lose Murray and you lose Aaron Gordon, super, super important to the identity of the team. And the Nuggets had to figure out how they were going to approach it. And they did it really well against Toronto in the game on Monday. But that was against Toronto, and it's not against OKC. And Michael Malone talked pregame and postgame about, hey, Nuggets basically have no margin for error. They have to be perfect. They have to show up. They have to be resilient. And that's exactly what they were. Didn't matter if Denver got down 15 or 16 or whatever. I think they got down as much as 18 points. They're the cardiac cats. Like, that's just what they do at this point. They get down, they allow the other team to relax a little bit, and then they hit them with a couple haymakers to come back and make the game interesting. But just really, really impressed with the resiliency of this team, especially as a young team. Yes, you get confidence from Nikola Jokic. Yes, you get confidence from Russell Westbrook. But mostly the energy, the juice that the Nuggets are getting is from their young guys. And we'll talk about it all. Let's start with Jokic first and foremost. 23 points, 20 rebounds, 16 assists, and 2 steals and 2 blocks, including some really impressive defense in the clutch. He locked in, man. Like, that's the thing. You can't say enough about Jokic and the burden that he has to bear. The Thunder double-teamed and triple-teamed him every single night. They rotated defenders at him on a consistent basis, and he wasn't perfect. He had 5 turnovers. He probably could have been counted with like 7 or 8, if I'm being honest, and a lot of those came early, where he was still trying to figure out how to handle the rotating defense and how the Nuggets were supposed to handle the rotating defense. But he made it work and continued to fight through all of the pressure that he was facing and delivered an incredible performance overall. I was like, during the game, I was like, man, he's not really handling this well. It's not perfect. And then I looked down and he's got 12, 7, and 10 at halftime. And then he just doubled that, man. Like, who does that? Who just doubles 12, 7, and 10? Like, that's insane. And that's just who he is at this stage. Pick a game that he's played through the first 8 games of the season, and it's probably an incredible stat line that Karl-Anthony Towns has never put up. Straight up. More skilled, though. More skilled, for sure. What Jokic does on a consistent basis is give his team energy, put them into positions to succeed, and he's not always going to be able to do the job for them, but they have to, and they have to do it themselves. But Joker sets the table for that to happen better than anybody in the NBA. And it was very evident last night where the Thunder were so scared of him just going at Chet, getting Chet into foul trouble, that they sent the double as fast as they possibly could to get the ball out of his hands. And that was great because it allowed Denver's rotation players to just get up to speed and get some confidence and do the things that they needed to do in order to figure out how to win. And I was surprised, honestly, that OKC was doubling as much as they were, because I figured that they would not try to get those guys going, that they would try to force Joker to do everything as a scorer and go at Chet and do all those things. And they didn't really do that. Now, Joker still got off 20 shots, and that was like very important because it continued to force OKC to respect him as a scorer and dominate as a scorer. He never let them off the hook. And that was very, very important for this game. Only 6 free throw attempts somehow, but you can't win them all, I guess. You can't get them all. Just a very, very impressive performance from Jokic, and one where you can see the MVP level of impact, despite the fact that other guys had 20 plus points, despite the fact that Russell Westbrook had a great game. He was tremendous. And I will never get tired of watching Jokic play basketball and be able to operate this blender that he puts defenses in over and over and over again. It's awesome. Christian Braun. We're going to talk about Christian Braun and Peyton Watson in the first segment and then talk about the others in the second segment. How about Christian Braun, man? He's averaging 16 points a game now. Like who in their right mind thought that Christian Braun was just going to be averaging like 16, 6, and 3 like at the start of the season? Ain't no way, man. Like, the way that he has stepped up and showcased what he can do in this moment has been so important for this Nuggets team. 7 of 14 from the field for Christian Braun, 4 of 8 from 3, 6 of 6 from the line. He's just playing with confidence, man. He's playing with confidence. He's turned himself into a shooter, and the Nuggets have absolutely needed it. Some of the shots that Christian's taking right now, he would never, ever take in years past. And the fact that he's been willing to do it and the responsibility that he feels to do it has been important. So much of development for a player is taking out the safety net, is removing the net from underneath you while you're on the high beam, doing everything you can to force guys to be perfect, force them to be better. And I agree from Marone here. That 3 over Chet was such a big time shot because Denver they're kind of slow in that. They weren't necessarily reading the floor that well. And Christian just took it and fired, man. Like, that's just how many times have you actually seen that before from him? So just really, really impressive stuff. And then on top of it, the defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai had 8 turnovers last night. It wasn't all because of Christian. I don't want to give him sole credit for it. But 8 turnovers is a big deal. Yes, Shai still shot 10 of 19. Yes, he shot 8 of 10 from the free throw line. That dude fell over like crazy last night. He was doing everything he could to get to that foul line. But those turnovers that were forced, whether it was Joker in the passing lanes deflecting some balls, whether it was Christian Braun just putting the pressure on him in general, it was a masterclass of how to not be tricked by what Shai is trying to do. How many times did CB actually get scored on by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the half court? Like, there's times where you got out in transition and you just can't really handle that. But most of the time in the half court, Christian Braun was getting screened off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he was trying to hunt somebody else. He was mostly trying to hunt Julian Strawther and Michael Porter Jr. and guys like that. But it's been awesome to watch Christian Braun so far this year and just been very, very impressed with how he's handled himself. And finally, Peyton Watson. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than him in the third segment, but I just wanted to give him full credit for, being in this position, stepping up in this moment, being a starter. There was a difference in timing with Christian versus Peyton. With Christian, you kind of knew that it was coming. It made a lot of sense. With Peyton, without the training camp, without the preseason, without the requisite time to really get comfortable, this was like removing the safety net, but way before you were supposed to. And Peyton made mistakes. There's no doubt about it. He wasn't perfect, but he also made it work. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal. And another big 3. Like back-to-back games, man, where on the left side of the floor, Peyton Watson steps up and hits a big, big shot. It was funny. Michael Porter was trying to get a shot off over Alex Caruso in the corner, but he noticed that Peyton Watson was wide open next to him on the wing. Peyton, not fully on balance with that shot, catches the ball and then hits a 3. It was awesome. Just awesome to see. And on top of that, the defense that Peyton continues to play in the starting lineup. When Denver gets into these situations where they need the high energy guys, they need the plays in the passing lanes, they need the rotating blocks, Peyton is better at that than anybody on the roster. He really is, just because of how just physically talented and gifted he is. It's awesome to watch him. And I know that there's going to be some bumps in the road because he's not quite ready. He's not. Like 1 of 4 from the free throw line last night, including 2 in the clutch that would have iced the game. He's still 1 of 4 from 3. There's still some drives that he makes that I get a little bit concerned by. But you only work through that by playing. You only develop confidence by playing and making mistakes. And he's going to make them. And the Nuggets need to survive them. And they can. They showed that they can beat the best team in the NBA right now, which I think the OKC Thunder are. They can beat the best team in the NBA with Peyton Watson in the starting lineup, without Jamal Murray, without Aaron Gordon. They can do it. And Peyton can be a big part of it. And that is a massive confidence boost against every other situation, because Peyton can then think back on, past 2 games, Toronto, OKC, I clutched up. The rest of these games are nothing, man. It's been really cool. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to chat about Russell Westbrook, who has another great game in the Nuggets starting lineup, and then a bounce back game or a bounce back second half from Michael Porter Jr. We will be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below. Would really, really appreciate it, folks. What a win! What a win last night! What a time to be able to talk about Denver after. I didn't think that we were going to be having this many positive moments during this stretch. Where, yeah, Murray goes down, Gordon goes down. Look, we'll see whether Murray comes back on Friday. I would actually expect Murray to come back on Friday, just with the way that he was warming up, and he had multiple warm up times during yesterday. So I think that there's a possibility that he plays on Friday for sure. But Russell Westbrook instead did his job, man. Absolutely did his job. Usually I'm one where plus minus is something that I think about a lot, where I think about just the way that the game was played while you were on the floor. With Russ, he didn't close last night. And he was minus 14. One of the reasons why he didn't close was the Nuggets needed spacing. They needed Julian Strawther just kind of as a dynamic 6'7" shooter that the opposing team was going to respect the entire time. Russ, it wasn't his fault at all. Like, he played great. And I know it says minus 14 next to him. I thought that he did a great job of just keeping Denver in it, especially while Jokic was on the bench. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Russ played every single minute that Jokic sat. So that was obviously going to be a little different. But just a really, really impressive performance from Russ, especially Denver's playing an 8-man rotation. Like, last night, they did not play anybody else other than the 8 that they decided to play. And Russ has a lot of burden on him. And so I didn't expect him to handle it as well as he did. I thought that he would get a little bit too rambunctious, get a little bit too downhill, pushing a little bit too hard, or maybe just settling for threes as often, like way more often. But 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 of 15 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. Just a tremendous line. And he continues to be a very strong defensive player. Somebody that Denver can go to in these circumstances and not feel like they are bothered by it. Absolutely. Like, they were perfectly reasonable with everything there. Yes, that is a Stormlight poster. I am currently listening to Words of Radiance on my phone. So good comment and good eye right there. Russ has been incredible. And after the start where he was decidedly not incredible, this was what the Nuggets needed. And this is honestly what they brought him in for, right? Like, Jamal was never going to play 82. The Nuggets were never going to get a full 82 games from him. And I'm not surprised that he stepped up in this moment, because Russ has always been a player that can scale up and take a larger role and do different things. There's absolutely ways that they could make it happen. So just been really, really impressed with how he has handled himself. And post-game with the media, he's been tremendous. He really has made an effort. Listening to him answer questions and focus on different things, just been awesome to see. And I've really, really enjoyed covering him so far, because you can see the progression and you can see how hard he is working to try and do the right thing. And that's all you can ask of him. And Michael Malone made mention of it post-game too, that he's doing what he can to fit in, to do the things that the Nuggets are asking of him. And that's all he could really do. He's a 17-year vet. It's hard to change your stripes sometimes, but if he's going to try, more power to him, man. Cedric with the super chat. I'm sorry I missed this, Cedric. Ryan, could CB win MIP or make first/second team? First/second team of what? Like all NBA? Hell no. Like, look, I'm high on what Christian Braun is doing, but first or second team all NBA is that is generous for sure. Like he's still averaging 16 points a game. Most improved player, like you never know in that situation. Most of the time, most improved player, it will go to a guy that makes that all-star leap. That's a high-profile player that makes that all-star leap that everybody's like, this is going to be a superstar until the end of time. That's what that usually looks like. Christian Braun's actually making distinct improvements in his game. And the way that he's shooting the three, the way that he's hitting free throws, the way that he's defending, he has raised his level across the board. So he is the definition of most improved player at this stage. Will it happen? Probably not, because he's just not the archetype of player the voters decide to vote in. I will start making the campaign, though. If he continues to play like this, Denver absolutely deserves to feature him. They will need to continue to feature him. And I think he's earned the right. So good chat, Cedric. Thank you very much for the super chat. But yeah, just first or second team defense. My mistake. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think that he's one of those players, because maybe I need to go look at the numbers a little bit more with him, but usually those guys are very high steals, very high blocks kind of guys. And I doubt that he's going to be able to make that impact, because one of the things that first and second team defense have done now is they've become positionless. So you can have 5 centers on the ballot if they are the 5 best defensive players. So do I think that Christian Braun will be one of the top 10 defensive players this year? Probably not, but who knows? Maybe we can talk about it. Nugget asks, shout out Nugget. Ryan, do you think Russ's recent better shooting is a result of his shot mechanics, or is it just a fluke? What my analytical brain wants to say is it is a fluke. It is small sample size. It will normalize. That's what it wants to say. What I have heard is that he has made an effort, a distinct effort, in turning his jumper into something that is a little bit more smooth, trying to disconnect from years past and different situations where he has struggled with the jumper, and doing what he can to just be more definitive with it when he decides to take it, rather than waiting and doing everything he can. Because when people would scream, don't shoot, they'd scream, don't shoot in LA when he was shooting the basketball. So that's not what's happening here. I think the Nuggets, and specifically off the bench, Nuggets fans are very much of the mind of, hey, like that might be the best shot that you can get, and not necessarily worrying too much about the results. We'll see what happens and how that evolves. But through now, I think he's a better shooter. I really do. Now, whether that turns into something for the entire season, who knows? But could Russ shoot 34% from 3 this year? Yeah, why not? Why not? And that would be great, right? Like that would be distinctly great. But yeah, let's there was also one comment from True Teller here. Play Jamal with the second unit and more Russ with Joker. Russ always looks for Joker. You know, Jamal is like, he has like a 21% usage rate this year. It's not like he's taking a lot of shots. And he does also look for Joker. Now, what Russ is doing, because when he has the ball in his hands, he's like a traditional facilitating downhill drive, create for either yourself or for the roll man kind of guy. Like he does that, and he does it really well. So I do agree, though, that there should be more times where Jamal is staggering with the second unit and Russ is playing with the starters. And I think that they will be able to get to those lineups on occasion. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I'm curious to see what the Nuggets ultimately decide to do with their rotation when Jamal comes back. But the way that Russ has helped everybody play faster with that first unit, it should not go overlooked. Like, I think that Jamal needs to play faster. He may not be capable of it, but I do think that Jamal should try to speed up as well and match some of Russ's pace. All right. Michael Porter Jr., tremendous bounce back from him. That's one that I don't think anybody else. But so 3 points for Mike at the half. 3 points. He was like 1 of 6. He did not play well. And when you're facing the OKC Thunder, there's just no way that can happen. Like, if you don't have Jamal, you don't have Aaron Gordon, and then Mike has 3 points, it's going to be really hard for your team to win. And I thought that this was going to go the way of Mike kind of fading into the background a little bit against a really good team, a really good perimeter defense like he has done in the past. But ultimately, he came out and the first shot he got was firing up. He fired up a 3, and that was off of a Peyton Watson swing, I believe. And he got it to go. And that was just the tip of the iceberg for what MPJ was going to do. And for whatever reason, so the Nuggets, and here's a good coach thing for Michael Malone and for David Adelman and everybody, that the Nuggets, like, everybody loves to bemoan the Nuggets coaching staff, say that it's just Jokic. That's all he can do. Like, he's the only one who can coach. Michael Malone coached a great game. And here's why. So much of Denver's rotations on the offensive end, where they would dump the ball into the post, and then Mike would be cutting through, and there would be some times where he wasn't the one spacing. He wasn't the one in a situation where the Nuggets were going to get him a shot. And the Nuggets decided, okay, we're going to play some dummy actions here really quickly, but ultimately what we're going to do while Jokic is operating on the block is we're going to make Joker the one pass away. And there were too many times where it was either Alex Caruso or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Jalen Williams or whoever, where they would double Jokic from the strong side with Michael Porter Jr. one pass away, and he would hit it. That was a big, big break for the Nuggets. And Mike is really good when you simplify things for him like that, where he's like, okay, I need to watch Jokic. I need to read the court. I need to wait for the double team. And then he rotates over and gets himself into a really great position to shoot. And he did it. He canned it, man. Like, that's a very important thing. 24 points for Michael Porter, 21 in the second half. How many threes did he hit? 6 of 10 from 3. He had 3 assists too. Like, pretty good stuff. On the year, Mike is now at 40% from 3. Think about that. Think about where he started. Think about what he was doing. And it's just one of those things where everybody overreacts. Everybody thinks, oh man, how could he possibly, what could he possibly be doing? And then he's up to 40%. Like it's nothing. So I hope he continues to shoot the ball. He's averaging 7.5 threes per game this year. He has to keep shooting and shooting a lot. That'll help everybody. So hopefully that continues to go. Guys, I will not be bemoaning the Jay Huff loss here. That's not what I'm doing. Honestly, I think Denver, they were fine to let go of Jay Huff. It wasn't the most important thing in the world. I don't think that Jay Huff would be doing what he's doing here. What's next? We still got some guys to talk about. Julian Strawther, like I mentioned, he did not have a great shooting game tonight, but he was still a very important threat for what the Nuggets needed to do in that clutch time moment. For the second straight game in a row, the Nuggets did not close with Russell Westbrook. And instead, they did not close with Russell Westbrook. And instead they closed with the young guys, Strawther, Watson, Braun, with Michael Porter and Nikola Jokic. And Strawther delivered in that. He was getting cooked at times on the defensive end. I don't want to, that's still a thing. He had 4 fouls. He probably could have fouled out of this game, if I'm being honest. There were a couple of times where the defense just wasn't very good. But he held up ultimately in the end and had 9 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, including 2 offensive rebounds. Just trying to stay involved in doing the things that he needs to do. 6 assists for Julian Strawther is a big deal. And he is playing some point guard for sure. But still, it wasn't even always when he was the point guard where he was really facilitating. He's just seeing the floor pretty well and been really excited to see the development for him. Shooting efficiency, he needs to continue keeping that up as much as possible. Like early in the season, he was very efficient, but not having the volume. Now he has the volume, doesn't quite have the efficiency. He's going to balance it out, though. He's going to figure it out. And I like what I've seen from him in terms of like, got to get the minutes up, got to get the shots up, got to get comfortable taking that level of shots against a team like this because he's going to be asked to do so in the playoffs. Like, it's just going to have to happen. So I'm very, very curious. Okay. Dayon, he says, Ryan prefers we get Sarge for $10 million and not keeping J Huff for a minimal contract. What a bunch of BS. That is not what I said. Look, the Nuggets backup center position is cursed. I don't know what to tell everybody. I am not I am not saying that I would prefer Sarge on this contract. Previously, I have said that I had classified Sarge as a minimum contract value that they decided to get at the taxpayer MLE, and I don't know why they did that. I thought that Sarge would be very good for Denver. He has not been good for Denver yet. Actually, he's been horrible for Denver. It doesn't mean that he's going to be horrible for the entire season. He's got to balance and figure some things out. That's going to be a thing. I didn't expect J Huff to be any good because J Huff had never been good in the NBA before. Now he is. And sometimes it's just the situation that gets it out of you. So look, I'm not going to overly blame Michael Malone for not playing J Huff. I'm just not. Like, Michael Malone is a very good coach. That we're not going to do this. Hunter Tyson, Zeke Naji. Honestly, like, Hunter Tyson's been great for Denver despite the fact that he cannot hit a shot. He can't hit a shot, Hunter Tyson, right now, but he doesn't take a bunch of them either. 1 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, had a couple turnovers, but overall, like, I'm still very impressed with what Hunter Tyson's doing. He had 1 possession where he stood somebody up at the rim in defensive transition and just had a great vertical contest. And Denver just needs the hustlers right now, man. They need people that will play with the energy that they have and can continue to put guys in great positions to succeed, especially the starters. Hunter Tyson, he's out there to provide energy. So play as hard as you possibly can for the minutes that you're out there, and you'll continue to earn more minutes. The shot is eventually going to go down. And if it does, man, like, if Hunter can start shooting on top of what he's doing right now, I think that Denver's got a guy that they can trust in a 10-man rotation. Will it ultimately happen? Probably not, but it's at least something that I'm looking at. It's something that I'm thinking about. And then Zeke Naji, I'm surprised that he didn't play against Utah, or really he played against Toronto, but not in like a backup 5 position for much of that time. This is a really tough matchup for any backup center. I don't think he handled it that well. It wasn't that great, but it doesn't mean that he shouldn't play going forward. The Nuggets have to continue playing Zeke Naji. Like, I just think that he gives them a little bit more than what DeAndre Jordan will give them, and right now what Dario will give them. I think eventually Dario will get back into this rotation and he'll figure some stuff out. But right now, they just need the defense and the athleticism of Zeke Naji, the switchability, and hoping that he can figure some things out. Because if one of those guys figure, like, hypothetically, let's say that Sarge is just horrible for the rest of the year. If that means that they play Zeke Naji and he figures some stuff out and gets back to a good place where he's valuable, is it really that much of a loss? Like, Denver just needs one of those guys to be okay. and if they can get one of those guys to be okay, then that might actually help them. So I think that there's a lot to like there. So look, we'll see what happens with this rotation, but I'm hopeful that the Nuggets have turned a corner a little bit. And if they can maintain this momentum, the record's going to be fine. They're already 5-3. And yes, there are other teams that are 5-3, but I got to tell you, like, Denver's tied for the 6th best record in the entire NBA with a few other teams. That's insane. That's how kind of squashed everything is together right now. Denver obviously plays some pretty tough teams coming up here. They've got Miami on Friday and Dallas on Sunday, and then they go on the road. They play Memphis a couple times. So they're going to have to figure some stuff out. but I think that they can. I think they can do it. Gonna be fun. All right, let's take a final break. When we come back, we are going to chat how Denver went to an 8-man rotation and how Peyton Watson has got to take advantage of this opportunity. We will be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. Final segment. Thank you so much for tuning into Pickaxe and Roll. Really appreciate everybody. We got a big live audience right now. This has been awesome. Thank you guys for being a part of it. Thank you for interacting. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Peyton Watson, high ceiling for the Nuggets. He has so much potential. He can do so many different things. And especially on the defensive end, where obviously Denver's main core guys are mostly offensive guys with Jokic, Murray, Porter. Aaron Gordon's still a defensive guy, but like he and Peyton Watson have some overlap. And so when you've got some times where Peyton Watson is out there and Aaron Gordon is not, like you have now, the game's going to be a little bit different, but Peyton Watson can still really fit into that group. He can do it in a little different way than what Aaron Gordon's done, but I think that there is a lot of potential. Mike goes to the 4. Peyton Watson plays like a real solid small forward position, and he's on the ball. He's doing a whole bunch of things against some elite offensive players. Like he's going to get some opportunities here. Luka Doncic is coming to town on Sunday. Jimmy Butler's coming to town on Friday. Those two matchups in particular, Peyton Watson's going to get that main assignment over Christian Braun. Christian Braun will be defending probably Kyrie Irving, or maybe Russ will defend Kyrie Irving, and they'll kind of play around with those matchups a little bit. But I think that Denver is going to be in this situation where they're going to learn a lot about Peyton Watson over the course of this upcoming stretch. And whether he can handle the three-point shooting, whether he can handle the decision-making, whether he can handle the ball handling, and do the things that he needs to do to create as a 3, as opposed to just being kind of that role player 4 that he was off the bench for much of the year last year. Now he's in a position where the Nuggets are like, they're trying to work him in. They're trying to do some different things with him. He's mostly just playing the Aaron Gordon role specifically, but I am of the mind that this is one of those opportunities for him to really step up, to really kind of break out of his shadow, break out of the shadow of some other guys, and show the world what he can do. Now, there comes with a caveat there, because you want him to play within the flow of what the Nuggets are asking for. He's probably still going to be like 5th on the pecking order behind Jokic, Russell Westbrook, or Jamal Murray when he comes back, Michael Porter specifically, and Christian Braun. I think Christian Braun has firmly earned the right to take the 4th most shots in that group. But it doesn't mean that Peyton can't be involved in the same way where KCP was very involved for the Nuggets all the time, even when he was the 5th option. The Nuggets just need to be able to trust Peyton Watson. They need to be able to showcase what he can do. And I think that he has a great opportunity here to continue to break out and get comfortable and do the things that he needs to do with Jokic. He played 100% of his minutes. His 34 minutes, he played 100% of them with Jokic last night. And that's never something that he's been able to say before. Most of the time, he checks in like in a normal standard rotation. He checks in at about the 4-minute mark of the first quarter and then exits at about the 7-minute mark of the second quarter. In that time, Jokic probably plays the 2 of the first minutes and then 1 of the final minutes. And so out of that stretch, he probably plays about 20%, 25% of his minutes with Jokic on a normal day. So take advantage of this time, man. Make it so you are essential. Learn everything you can from playing with Jokic and understanding how he can affect the game in a positive way next to the best player in the world. Because if he becomes essential for the Nuggets, or if they can get to some lineups where he is so good with Jokic that maybe there's an opportunity for some staggering. Maybe he comes in a little bit earlier when Aaron Gordon comes back, and then Aaron Gordon gets a stagger with the second unit. I think that there is a lot of potential there. And this is one of those things that the Nuggets are going to have to navigate. They're going to have to figure out. And if they can, and if he can prove that he deserves to be out there, you won't have situations like in the playoffs last year where he's playing 0 minutes in clutch games. He's going to be a part of things. The Nuggets need him to be a part of things, and they know it. Michael Malone knows it. He knows how important Peyton Watson is, for sure. Denver went with an 8-man rotation last night. They didn't play Shai Alexander. Vlatko Čančar also hurt last night, so he may have played if Denver had needed it. But there's just not a lot of players that they trust. Think about against OKC. You have to go small against OKC, but the 5 players that didn't play, Shai Alexander, Spencer Jones, Jalen Pickett, Dario Saric, DeAndre Jordan. Playing Zeke Naji over Dario Saric and DeAndre Jordan makes a lot of sense to me against OKC. Shai Alexander is a two-way player. Jalen Pickett has not shown much of anything for Denver. And then Spencer Jones is a two-way player. He's a two-way rookie. So maybe he'll eventually show something. Maybe some of these guys will eventually show something. But without Murray and without Gordon, you just don't have a lot of options against some of these really good teams. Now, Vlatko comes back and maybe you make it 9. We're seeing a ton of Lonnie Walker comments here, and I think Lonnie Walker would be solid for the Nuggets. I don't know if he would be spectacular for the Nuggets. I think he gives them another option. Like playing Julian Strawther and Lonnie Walker next to each other, there's some good scoring there, to be clear, but they kind of cannibalize each other in some ways, and they're also not great defenders next to each other, and they also both kind of want the ball, and they also both like score in the same ways a lot of times. So I don't know how it would work. I don't know. But that is a rumor that has come out, and I think that there's some truth to it for sure. I've also said in a previous podcast that I do not expect Lonnie Walker to be on the Nuggets or even in the NBA during the calendar year, basically, of 2024. I think it's 2025 or later. And that's just part of it. Nuggets says Lonnie Strawther defense would get cooked. It would. It just straight up would. So Denver's got to figure out how they want to handle it. The other thing is, like, let's say Murray comes back and Gordon comes back, and you're like, okay, how do you handle a fully healthy rotation? Well, I think that Murray, Braun, Porter, Gordon, Jokic, obviously those guys are each going to play about 30 to 34 minutes per game on most nights. And then you've got Russell Westbrook, who you're not going to take away his minutes entirely. He's still probably going to play about 20. You've probably got Strawther and Watson, who you're going to want to play about 20 each. It may be a little bit less than that at times, but you just do the math right there. Let's say each of the starters plays 32 minutes a game. That's 170 total, or 160 total from the starters, excuse me. Then each of the bench guys that I just named, Strawther, Watson, and Westbrook, they each play 20. So that's 60 minutes between them. So you've got 20 total minutes left. You need a backup center at some points. And then maybe you want to get Hunter Tyson out there because he's earned it and he's played with hustle. So I don't even know if Lonnie would play in Denver's full strength rotation. He might, but probably not a ton. And so you start to figure some stuff. Yeah, you're going to have to figure some stuff out on the fly with that. So I think that it's kind of shaky whether he would actually make an impact at Denver's full strength without Murray. Sure, like it makes some sense. You need another guard. There's no doubt about it. Because right now Denver's they're playing heavy minutes with these young guys, and hopefully they can figure it out. Final thoughts here. Like I said, I think 9-man rotation when Murray comes back is the most likely thing. And I think Hunter Tyson's a part of it. Like, how strange is that? That is not what I expected. But I think that Murray is going to have to play faster. Like, that's just one thing that I've noticed from this. If Murray is going to be a part of this group, if he's going to be a leader of this group, he has to see this. He has to play faster. He has to run the floor and try to keep up with some of these young guys. Because Denver's got, they got horses, man. They are doing what they can to get up and down. Last night's pace against OKC was 109, and Denver handled it pretty well. Now, is Joker going to get gassed? Is Michael Porter going to get gassed? Can Denver's young guys keep up with that on a consistent basis? I don't know. But they were playing really great basketball at a very fast pace. And Murray's never been fast-paced. He's going to have to find a way to elevate that if he possibly can. If he does, then there are some things that I like about that second unit where even if it's Najee out there, even if it's like not a great backup center, Denver can do some good things with Murray, with Russ, with Strawther, with Watson, with all these guys. They'll be able to figure it out. I'm curious to see how they handle it, but I am looking forward to what Denver does because they've now officially turned some things around. What was the thumbnail choice that I made at the beginning of this? The Nuggets are back? I think I put a question mark on it. The Nuggets are back? Are they back? Are the Nuggets back? Is this a thing? They probably never left, if we're being honest. Denver, I think, is still at that point where they feel like they were burned by Denver last year. And that's why Denver's getting a lot of the residual hate and anger and dismissal and things like that, like saying, oh, they're cooked. They are nowhere close to what the Bucks are right now. Like the Bucks are in a different category of down bad than what the Nuggets are. Because at least with the Nuggets, they've still got the best player in the world, and they've got young players that are contributing regularly, despite the fact that Denver's veterans, and specifically Murray, have not been awesome. Porter's back on track. Gordon, before he got down, was very good. Westbrook is back on track. Strawther's playing good. Watson's playing good. Braun is playing great. Denver's got a lot of guys that you can really say a lot of positive things about. They are not the Milwaukee Bucks anymore. Like that is not what is going on here. It's only been 8 games, but Denver has they've run the gambit, man. They've run the gamut of trying to scare the hell out of everybody initially and then figuring some stuff out. It's been really awesome. All right, folks. Been 47 minutes. I think that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at BetOnline. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Really appreciate all the love and support on the podcast. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Big win for the Nuggets last night. We will see if they can continue it. I'm looking forward to tracking it all with you. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll talk to you guys very soon.